This is not he or she, but let me lift this up here, and this is called a torso.
It certainly is.
And I guess a torso is a body with no arms or legs.
And no skin.
And no skin.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take off the front of this torso, and I'll try not to get in the way here. And I'm leading up to a question here, as usual, surprise. And we just lost part of one of the lungs, so I'm going to take it out and set it here, and I'm going to get the front of the torso out of my way before I trip on it. And, you know, my wife really laughs when I do things like that. And I'm going to take the heart out. I'm going to take the liver and the stomach and part of the colon here and the small intestines and the rest of the colon. And we just dropped out the he or she part, whichever you prefer.
I'm glad you dropped that.
Okay. And right up in here, and it also shows on this torso under the lung here, you notice that there's a muscle. Okay? And what I want to lead up to here,
right underneath the lungs,
what I want to lead up to here is this. Before the word that I'm about to use became silly, and I'm not trying to be gross by saying this, but a science teacher one time made a statement to me that really helped me figure out a lot of other things in science. And the statement that he made to me, or to our class I should say, was, quote, "Science never sucks." Okay? And I want to illustrate that as best I can today with this bell jar. Okay? Now, if you talk to a normal, your average everyday elementary school kid and say, Susie or Fred, how is it that you're able to get air into your lungs? And a typical answer you get here would be something like, well, you just suck it in. Right. And this is where I get to say now, wait a minute, remember, science never sucks. And so I'm going to lift this bell jar up, and I don't know if the audience can see, I hope, but there's a balloon in there. Right. Okay. And on the bottom of this, on the top of this bell jar, there's a hole, and I've got the balloon duct taped, you can use that stuff for anything, to a tube, and it's running through a rubber stopper. So anyway, I took a latex glove and I stretched it across the bottom, and I'd like you to notice something. When I push up on this glove, on this latex, you'll notice that the balloon deflates. Sure does. But yet when I pull down on this, it inflates. I push up, it deflates. I pull down, it inflates. So basically what's happening here is that we have a membrane here that I suppose we could call a diaphragm. Okay? And when I pull the diaphragm down, basically what I'm doing is I'm making a little more room inside the bell jar. Well, when I do that, the air pressure, 15 pounds per square inch, tries to fill up that space and the only way it can do that is to go through the balloon, and it causes it to inflate. That's right. Okay? So, coming back to our torso here for just a moment.
Let me make sure I understand this. By making the volume bigger, you're taking the air that's in the bell jar and spreading it out over a larger volume, and therefore having less pressure, right? And so the air comes in from the tube to try to balance that pressure out.
Correct. Okay. Now, on the torso here, just below the lungs, and is a muscle called the diaphragm. All right. Okay. And it sort of separates, almost airtight, the lungs from the lower body cavity. Okay. And so when that muscle contracts, it flattens out, which is sort of the same thing as pulling down on the membrane. Okay. Well, when we do that, when that diaphragm drops, it creates more space in here, and the air from the air pressure rushes in. Now here's my question, and I've got a little prize that I'm going to send the boy or girl that can answer this. Based on what I've told you today, what causes hiccups?
A hiccup. All right. I think I know.
Okay. So if you know the answer to that, give us a call.
All right.
What causes hiccups?
Well, in the meantime, we have a question, and I believe it's a math question, from Tim.
Hi.
Hi,
Hey,
Tim.
Tim.
Where are you calling from?